Welcome to the APTA Grand Prix Tour, presented by our national sponsors Viking and Uline and local sponsor Roto-Rooter. We're live at the Hyde Park Golf and Country Club on the APTA Network, presented by ENET Live. I'm Mark Fischel, along with Patty Hogan, and we're bringing you this quarterfinal matchup between the number 3 seeds, Laura Berendt and Roxy Enica, and the number 8 seeds, Heather Propp and Wendy Shpiz. Patty, welcome to the broadcast booth.
Well, thank Mark. It's great to be at the Midwesterns in Cincinnati. We are at the beautiful Hyde Park Golf and Country Club, and they have just done a monster renovation and have made this into one of the premier facilities in the country, Mark.
Absolutely beautiful, great viewing, and it's just a really pretty place.
It is, and let me tell you about who we're going to get to watch today in the Midwestern quarterfinals. We've got Heather Propp, who is our pro right here at this club. Heather's from Montgomery, Ohio, and she's got a current ranking of number 16 in the country with Wendy Spitz, who's from Winnetka, Illinois. They're up against the tough and powerful team of Laura Berendt from River Forest, Illinois, and playing with her usual partner, Roxy Enica. They are the number 3 seeds, and Propp and Spitz are seeded number 8 for this event.
So, Patty, while the players are getting their instructions from chair umpire Marianne Kirk and tour director Shannon Vincent, we're going to bring in David Dodge. We had a very unfortunate occurrence this week in Cincinnati. Jason Gray, who's one of the great ambassadors of our sport, longtime pro in the area, unfortunately died. And David, you were very close with Jason for a number of years. I know you guys put on some of the most innovative events in the country. We really wanted you to talk a little about Jason and some of your memories of him.
Yeah, Jason and I had become good friends through the promotional events and all the things we did in platform tennis. He was a great guy and a guy with a lot of ideas, a lot of promotional ideas. One of the first things we did together was the battle at Beckett, where he brought in the Jensen brothers. And
what year was that?
That was
2007?
10 years ago, yeah, at least.
2007, yeah. I think.
And yeah, we put on a great event there with the Jensen brothers promoting paddle. After that, we had kind of moved on to the Battle of the Paddles, where we brought in Scott Freeman. He was a 20-time national men's champ in paddle tennis, and they were going to come out and take on the platform tennis players.
Bill Anderson and Flip Goodspeed.
Exactly, right. Yep. That was a good event. Then after that, we went on to do the promotional event in Las Vegas.
Tennis Channel Open.
Exactly, with the Bryan brothers. The Bryan brothers were supposed to come out and just do a little 5-minute photo op and ended up playing the sport for like 45 minutes. So
they had a great time that day. They really enjoyed it. And looking at the paddle court, Jason's mark is on every single court in the country these days.
It is, yep. The purple paint is was an idea, a brainchild of Jason Gray. We were sitting at the ATP tournament one day, and Jason turned to me and said, "Hey, I have an idea," which is always a little scary with Jason. You never know what's going to come out. He said, "Hey, why can't we paint platform tennis courts that purple color as the ATP did?" And I looked at him and I agreed completely. I said, "What a great idea! Let's do it." And which changed the face of paddle, or platform, changed the face of it today. And we also incorporated the service gap the following year, which was another
Jason's idea.
Yeah, Jason had suggested adding that as well. So
that's pretty amazing that Jason left his mark on every platform tennis court in the country.
He did do that, yes. Yeah, because the courts today you rarely see the traditional brown and green court. So
yeah, they are a dying breed.
Yeah.
Patty, do you want to introduce the players, and we'll talk a little bit more about Jason?
Sure. On the far side, with the sunshades on both players, they're wearing sunglasses, because the sun is pretty fierce coming out of the corner on the far side. The taller of the two players to the left of the screen, that's Laura Berendt, and her partner, who's just hitting that ball, let the ball drop a little lower, is Roxy Enica. On the near side, moving into the sun, on the right side is our host pro, Heather Propp, and she's playing with Wendy Spitz, who will be in the ad court.
So, David, getting back to Jason, tell us some more of your memories of him. I mean, Jason was always a talker. He always had ideas. He always had a big smile on his face. That's how I remember Jason.
He was energetic, enthusiastic. He was he always, you're right, always had a smile on his face, always brought you up when you were down. Just just full of life, fun-loving guy. And yeah, he was really involved and really loved platform tennis. Some of the other events, you know, we did the Premier Cup, the tournaments around the country with the top pros. He was involved with, we did the ATP tournament in Washington, D.C. A couple years ago.
About 100 degrees.
Yeah,
to get the guys in the paddle court.
It was ridiculously hot that day, that's right. And then he was involved with this, some other events were the Orlando Managers Conference. And then he was always doing charity events for good causes at Four Bridges Country Club.
Yeah.
And he was just a great all-around guy, always working to help other people and do good for everyone.
I remember out in Las Vegas how much time and effort went into putting the court up and arranging everything, and the Tennis Channel had all their own individual requirements, and Jason was just never flustered, always patient, always had a smile on his face. We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Yeah, it's very true. Always had a positive attitude, and
he was the eternal optimist.
Exactly.
I mean, David, you know, Jason was a dear friend to you. I was one of the many people in the sport who considers myself privileged to have known Jason, and it didn't matter, you know, the common theme. I was reading so many of the comments on Facebook. Jason's wife posted alerting everyone of the news, and everyone was shocked everywhere, and there were so many people who put such kind words. Martin Sturgis, longtime pro out in Chicago. You know, I'm just going to read what Martin said. He kind of summed it up. He just said he's still in shock. He can't believe it. He was one of the friendliest, greatest guys I've ever met, full of enthusiasm and always looking to help include everyone, full of positive energy. You know, anyone who ever met him will agree that nothing but smiles and support for all. He was such a special guy, and everyone's prayers and condolences go to his wife and daughter. And he was all about, you know, a quality guy. I read about how he was the grill master in his neighborhood. He was one of the most amazing connectors that I think any of us will ever meet in our lifetimes. And he had that gift, and he was so inclusive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the quarterfinals of the Midwesterns, the Region 4 Grand Prix Series event.
I think throughout the weekend we're going to have the
right of my
opportunity to
chair
share some other
are Laura Berendt
remembrances.
from River Forest, Illinois, and Roxy Enica from Cox Cobb, Connecticut, the number 3 seed. To the left of my chair is Heather Propp from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Wendy Shpiz from Winnetka, Illinois, the number 8 seed.
Chris and David, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And you know, our thoughts and prayers go out.
I just want to send prayers to his family, his wife and daughter. I know he and his daughter were very close, and I can't imagine how they're feeling right now. So, but,
thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Our thoughts are with you and with their family. Please convey it from the entire APTA.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, Patty, so now on to more mundane matters. Our match. How do you see these two teams matching up?
Well, we know that the explosiveness of Enica and Laura Berendt is just really puts them in any event as one of the 2 or 3 teams who you think could win the tournament. And because of their offensive capabilities, athleticism, I mean, they're going to be a tough match here for our local pro, Heather Propp and Wendy, to kind of figure it out. I mean, they're going to have to play a really masterful, strategic match to try to take away some of the weapons, I think, from Berendt and Enica. You think they can do it, Mark?
Clearly, Berendt and Enica are the favorites today. Heather Propp is a master at controlling tempo. Berendt and Enica won charities and then lost in the finals of Long Island, 7-5 in the third, in a real tough match with Vicky Stuklosov and Jade Curtis. So they're really the hottest team on tour right now. And I think they probably have more weapons than anybody. So it'll be interesting to see. But it's definitely going to be a match of tempo. And I think that Propp and Shpiz have got to slow things down. If this match takes an hour, they're not likely to win.
So we often talk about pace of play, Mark. I hear you talk about it all the time. And which team? What's the critical key? And I think the whole difference in this match, pace of play. If they finish this match in under an hour and 20 minutes, it's all Enica Berendt.
Now we should talk about the relationship between Berendt and Shpiz. They go back a couple of years, right, Patty?
They do. We had a fun time at lunch today at the beautiful Hyde Park Golf and Country Club, listening to some stories going back to when they were 8 years old, playing junior tennis against each other. And we'll share a little bit of that shortly.
Okay, so it looks like Laura Berendt is going to take us out. And interesting, they're starting out in Australian. I think that's a testament to Jerry Vian.
I think it's impossible to see when you come in on a direct line, to tell you the truth, from that corner. So I think that was their play right off the start.
So Patty, when the sun is such a huge factor, we'll see if it's going to be today. It potentially is. How did that change your play at the net or at the backcourt?
Well, I think what happens is here, any ball into Heather Prop's deuce corner, that's going to be almost impossible to see. So you're forced to play over toward the ad court, where there might be some weapons, and there's clearly a weapon, right here in the near corner. That's Wendy Spitz right there. She loves to smack her forehand mark. She's hit it from her junior tennis days to her college days at Duke. She loves that forehand. That's the best shot in her game.
Love 30.
And so they're kind of forced to go there to see the ball. I think that Heather Prop, she is a veteran. She's known as one of the best. Would you say she's one of the top 3 strategists in the women's game at this point in time, Mark? She's played with lots of different partners. She's come up against all different styles of play. So she'll just stay out she'll stay out here as long as it takes to figure this out.
And as you can see, Heather prefers her backhand. Sun does not appear to be a big factor right now.
Well, not coming out of that ad court corner. This is where, right there, that shot. And I think what the players will do is you'll see them let the ball drop a little lower, Mark, and hit a variety of spins versus reaching up. You're not going to see them reach up and hit hard flat overheads into that deuce corner.
A little miscommunication there between Prop and Shpiz. Shpiz gets away with that move. Tough ball to drive. Would expect Enica to make that volley.
I think the one area that's always of interest with Enica and Laura Berendt, they play a lot more forehand swinging volleys than most teams. You'll not see as much of a traditional shifting. And so I think that sometimes, those off-speed balls might be effective on a shorter ball, like what Wendy just hit there.
There's that hard roller from Enica. Other than Gabby Nicolescu,
Enica.
I think that's probably the best overhead in the game.
Yeah, there's no doubt that that's one of the biggest weapons in our sport.
Deuce.
There's that
Advantage
big backhand from
Shpiz.
Prop.
We'll have to say the sun was a factor on that one, Mark. Roxy wouldn't miss a routine volley like that. But Heather's got to hit her backhand. We need some offense from that deuce court, I think, early in this match.
Game Prop Shpiz.
Okay, so 1-love, Prop and Shpiz.
So an early break, looking into the sun.
Is 1-love.
I think it is going to actually be a factor, Mark, more than you think. And Heather says it does get worse, for the next couple of hours here.
Heather Prop to serve. There's that big Enica forehand. Little miscommunication on this side.
And you can just see she shows that big windup, and Heather was wise just to keep her hands pretty quiet there and absorb the pace of that ball.
There's some like smart strategy from Heather, staying back to negate that big return from Enica. Great backhand from Berendt.
15-30.
What does Berendt like more, Mark, her forehand or her backhand?
I think the backhand, Patty, but I'm not sure. She hits them both so well.
15-40.
I think we're going to see a lot of breaks to serve today. It's relatively warm out there, and the colder it gets, the more of an advantage serve is. A great rib from Enica.
Game, Berendt, Enica.
And I like that. There was a little bit of an off-speed ball.
Well, Enica's game really came on the last couple of years. She used to, her game used to be less than the sum of the parts. Where if she was playing well, she would win, but if she was playing poorly, she couldn't find a way to get through.
Would you call that the maturation process of a paddle player coming over from
absolutely
huge tennis skills?
And then the last 2 years, it really started at the Philly Nationals, where she started winning matches when she wasn't playing well.
Right, she found a way to win with her B game, as you hear people talk about that in sports all the time.
Because her A game, I would say, along with Gabby Nicolescu, her A game is the best game in the country.
One of the best. She can outright win matches by herself almost.
So physically talented, volleys well, everything about her game is terrific. Her overhead, but she'd go through patches where she'd make some loose errors like that, and she had a tendency to go away, but not anymore. A little bit like Juan Araya in the guys' game.
She's got every shot in the book, and she loves every shot in the book, which is so fun. She has a joy when she plays the game. She didn't look so joyful right there. She sort of looked a little reactive, which is not really, you know, when I think of Enica's, I just think of her aggressive going after the ball.
15-40.
Couple great points from Shpiz. And you talked about her forehand being one of the best in the game.
And critical for Prop Shpiz to get a good start in this match. I think Enica and Berendt are phenomenal front runners, Mark.
They're
really enjoyable to watch because they play so loosely out here.
It is a fun style.
Deuce.
Enica's looking pretty tentative on her serve here, Mark.
She's really cut the motion down. And her tennis motion is a long swing. She's cut it down completely.
Mark, this is the third leg on the APTA's Grand Prix Tour. What's up next? What's the rest of the year look like?
Go to Boston in 2 weeks. Oh, look at that shot from Enica.
Advantage, Enica.
We'll get a replay of that one. And then we're on to Short Hills shortly thereafter, followed by Nationals in Pittsburgh. So we're in the home stretch.
And I think what's going to be really fun the second half this season is the women's game is wide open. There are so many talented teams where, I mean, I can think of 7 teams who have potential to win the women's nationals this year.
You know, for me, Patty, the big question is, when's Gabby Nicolescu coming back?
They lead 2-1.
Because Gabby Nicolescu is the best player in the country.
Gabby just had her first baby.
And when she's healthy and right, road to nationals goes through her.
And she's going to be playing nationals with
I assume with Liz Cruz,
Liz Cruz.
assuming she plays nationals.
Well, knowing Gabby and her abilities, I
put
feel like
nothing
she's
past her.
probably out on the court already, drilling 100-mile-an-hour forehands.
Wendy Shpiz to serve.
So what's the strategy on overheads here from Prop and Spritz? Who are they going after, Mark?
I think they've just got to hit good, smart overheads because there's so much offense and so much places out there.
But where are their smart spots? That's what I want to know.
Just make them move
15
around
left.
and get the ball deep in the court. I would really be focused on keeping the ball on Enica's side wire. Hitting a lot
Into
of
the
hard
ad
overs
court,
into the ad court.
trying to get side back screens.
Yep.
Keep the ball off her forehand, so the middle is far from a safe spot for Prop and Spritz to hit.
15 all.
And there you see that forehand. Now the difference, one of the differences between the two teams is Berendt hits her forehand wide and Enica will hit the backhand at times. So against Prop and Shpiz, any ball that's not in the middle is going to be a safe
30,
ball.
15.
And I think the last thing that's going to be critical will be the volley skills. You know, that Wendy and Heather are going to have to really volley well because you just know there's going to be the barrage of shots that come in succession from the baseline from
40,
Berendt and
15.
Enica, and you've got to be able to withstand that.
Seeing a couple of sloppy misses from Enica early. She was not feeling real well at lunch, so we'll see how she adjusts.
She seems tentative in kind of all her play right now.
Great
40,
forehand there.
30.
The forehand doesn't seem tentative. It's a big game for Prop and Shpiz. They left a 15-40 game getaway last game.
Wow, that was pretty close from Enica as well. I thought she missed it.
Deuce.
But again, that's the style she plays. She's going for her shots. She may miss a few, but she's not going to back off.
And I do think she's having a little bit of a hard time. She's taken off her sunglasses, and that sun is fierce. And
Advantage,
she
Berendt.
just doesn't wear a
Enica.
hat or a visor ever.
Great backhand there from Berendt. You can see her tennis talents. I read an article in one of the Chicago newspapers that she played on the WTA tour for a couple years.
She's got so much talent. She's kind of been in and out of the game at different times.
Game,
And
Berendt, Enica.
I think the
Berendt,
opportunity to go
Enica
out there and
lead the
play
set
with
3-1.
Roxy is the perfect partner for Lauren. With her freewheeling style of play, it's a great matchup for them.
Lauren made finals of nationals in 2008 at Rochester with Annika van Starnberg. Good backhand there from Shpiz off the backside ball. She's got to do that to keep them honest. Otherwise, they're just going to pound balls in there.
Can you imagine taking lessons with Laura at Edgewood Valley Country Club in Illinois? How fun that would be, Mark. Let's go. Hit the ball.
Everything with Laura is a lot of fun.
I'm sure it's the same with Enica, who's the director of rackets at Weston Field Club in Connecticut.
Love 15.
I think it's really important for Prop and Shpiz. They start closing some of these games out. They lost consecutive games up 40-15.
So we're 15 minutes in this match. We're at 3-1.
Love
Berendt and
30.
Enica off to
Shpiz
an
there.
early lead.
Back-to-back
40.
lead cords. Good
15,
swing
40.
from Shpiz. Okay.
Game prop
from
Shpiz.
Shpiz.
Set score is Berendt, Enica,
So what was the story that Laura Berendt was telling?
prop
When she
Shpiz
was
2.
8 and Wendy was 10, they played a practice match.
I think they were.
Wendy didn't like her calling out the score every time. So
I think that Lauren called out the score and got louder and louder as her enthusiasm for the match went on, and I think the louder it got, the more bummed out Wendy, and Wendy said, "Could you please not call the score so loudly?" So
you
Laura
think she said it that nicely, Patty?
Laura responded by calling the score out even louder.
And then
So
they
we
were
were
college rivals, right?
College rivals, and we were thankful we had an umpire to call the score today, so we would have no such issue.
Laura was at Texas, Wendy was at Duke. And apparently that was a ferocious rivalry.
And this is what makes, you know, the sport of paddle so unique. You know, everyone's out here, and they're out here working really hard to try to win every single point, every single match. But you know, they can all sit down and have a meal together at the beginning of the tournament, the middle of the tournament, or an end of the tournament, and that's what makes the sport so great.
Love 15.
So we played 5 games, and we've had 1 hold of service. And that was Roxy Enica, who arguably has the weakest serve of the 4.
Yeah, but she gets to serve in the shade.
Now they're staying back against the Enica return, which I think is really smart because that helps them control tempo and avoid those short points.
Well,
Great
and that's
lob.
when you slow down the game, Mark. If you can play, if you're confident in your screenplay from the baseline, you're really happy to just start the point and stay back there and let the screens help you kind of negate some of the power. But
15 all.
that's the other problem. When it, you know, that's Roxy. We've seen her do that so many times. She just
15
hits it
all.
so hard, and if you don't get a running start,
Love 30.
you're dead on that shot.
So the score is love 30.
Love 40.
That ball just jumps off Berendt's paddle, doesn't it? Hard to read. Such a pretty pickup from Enica. Got great hands. I love the way she varies the tempo on the overhead. Same swing, 2 different overheads.
I think that's a great point, Mark, because so many times you see players and they'll stick with the same pace and the same overhead, where you can see there's no 2 shots Roxy hits that are the same. And that's how you open up the court, and you can see she's hit 7 different overheads.
Great court coverage. Spectacular play from Wendy Shpiz.
Well, you touched the net.
So did Wendy touch the net, Mark?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the point was
Touch
over.
The net.
Had the
It
ball
doesn't matter.
bounce
You lose the point
twice?
if you touch the point.
A lot of congratulations from the players
Right.
out there. I wasn't sure. It'll be interesting to see if we can get a replay
Game
of that,
Berendt, Enica.
because I
They
thought the
lead
ball
4-2.
hit Berendt before she hit the net.
I think her days of, you know, gymnastics and the bounce being really paid off for Wendy right there, Mark.
So that's game Berendt and Enica. They lead 4-2 first set.
15 love.
And on the changeover, we'll take another look at that point. A couple of great slashes from Enica, some great counter punching from Prop and Shpiz. With that backhand over to Berendt, so effective.
You know, going into this, Mark, I was curious about if they were going to pound the ball into Wendy's corners in that ad court, because I've seen that. Sometimes, you know, she does have a tendency to block up a lot of shots, and I just didn't know if they were going to be able to take advantage of that with their power and really open up the court off of it. But they haven't been able to really go after Wendy at all yet in this match.
15 all.
Another missed overhead from Enica. Laura Berendt's got to be a great partner. She always has a big smile on her face. Partner hits a great shot or misses, same attitude.
I think that's what makes them such a potential, force for nationals coming up, because they've got the instant elite button mark. They could play some god-awful points. Doesn't matter. They're going to play some amazing points. Doesn't matter. They're just going to keep going.
There's a smart shot from Shpiz.
And in the game of Paramark, you see a couple of times that Enica and Berendt have missed volleys, have been on a slower pace ball, because they tend to play off the net, kind of making room for their forehand volleys. Did I explain that right, Mark? Do you know what I meant by that?
I did, Patty.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think Heather Prop has got to hurt them on that hard overhead. Otherwise, they're just going to be pounding the ball in there.
And it's tough because she's looking right into that sun. And we hit a couple balls earlier so I could get a little bit of a flavor of the sun out here. And there's a couple moments where you don't see the ball.
Well, that was an aggressive shot. Who do you think taught her that shot? She looked a lot like Juan Araya there.
I feel like a former boss of hers.
Especially since it went in the net.
Well, and the fun thing about Roxy is she tries every shot.
Great get from Enica. You can see how her movement, some of the best in the women's game. That's a ball Prop's got to let through the wires. Point for 5-2.
And Berendt, all the credit to her. I think Heather thought that ball was headed toward the corner, and Berendt held the shot a little bit. Kind of surprised Heather, and Heather couldn't see that ball for 1 second.
Game,
okay. Let's take a look at that. Kelly Diesel's got the replay of that spectacular point for us. Here we go. So there's one slash. Great get from Berendt. His prop covers it brilliantly. Here comes the next slash, and see Shpiz charging. And the ball, yeah, that should have been their point, because she only hit the net after the ball went off of Berendt. Okay, back to the live action.
I'll
Do you
tell
think
you,
Wendy Shpiz will be happy to know that she really won that point?
She'll be thrilled. You know,
Okay.
the pace of play, Mark, I don't think is bad here for Prop and Spitz, and it's pretty close, but the score's not close anymore. And this is what I talk about Berendt and Enica being front runners. I just feel like they've got a little bit of cushion now in the score, and that's going to kind of unleash some more of their weapons, I would say.
They're winning too many fast points.
Right, so we're at the 29-minute mark in this match.
25, I think.
Oh, 25, sorry.
Love 30.
Yeah, it's just going way too fast for them. I like this. Heather Prop is now staying back. You can see her directly behind Wendy Shpiz.
So my over-under was, what did I say, an hour and 15, hour and 20? The only way Prop and Shpiz could be in this match was if they got the match to go, longer points.
Great ball there from Shpiz.
15-30.
How many?
That's the shot I'm talking about, where they have to hurt them on that hard overhead. 15-30.
What I was going to say, Mark, so far this season, how many points have you seen Enica Berendt win in all the tournaments you've seen?
30-all.
Like, they have the ability to win points faster than any other team in the country right now.
And you don't feel like they're playing really well right now. Not badly, but missing some shots.
Mark, who does the winner of this match play?
Likely Dardis and Shea, our number 2 seeds, who are playing McLaughlin and Murphy.
7 of the 8 seeds have reached the quarterfinals in this Grand Prix event here in Cincinnati.
That was Heather Prop's meat and potatoes right there. She loves that backhand, played that point beautifully, lobbed them off the net, and then had the backhand and missed it. She won't miss too many of those. Set point.
Deuce.
First forehand I think Roxy's missed in a while. Again, a little confusion in the middle from Prop and Shpiz. You don't expect that from a veteran team. Great get from Shpiz.
Advantage, Berendt, Enica.
Set point number 2. Okay, game in first set, Berendt and Enica. And we'll be back in a moment after these messages right here on the APJ Network, presented by eNet Live.
From spinning, to swinging, to throwing, you never know what's next for you. That's why at North Shore Orthopedic Institute, we're always thinking ahead of the curve. From treating the pros to weekend warriors. From minimally invasive procedures to regenerating knee cartilage, helping you wake up pain-free. At North Shore, we're not just here for you now, we're helping you be ready for what's next.
Welcome back to the APJ Grand Prix Series. We're off and running in the second set of this match between Berendt and Enica, Prop and Shpiz. First set to Berendt and Enica, 6-2.
15 all.
15 all. First game, second set. Patty Hogan, what do Prop and Shpiz have to do differently?
We've talked about pace of play all day. They need to slow this match down. They're playing one of the most explosive teams in the country with so many offensive weapons, and I think Heather and Wendy will get a little bit better as this match goes on. They live several states away. They don't have an opportunity to practice that much. You know, a little hesitation on one of Heather's balls of life on her backhand a couple points ago. I just felt like there was a little indecision. So hopefully they get a little more comfortable. Like right there, Wendy loves to roam, Mark, on the baseline. She has a big range. That range takes away Heather Prop's two-handed backhand. But if that's the shot that they need to hit more to be effective, then Heather will have to yield, one of her shots away. And
Are you worried, Patty, that they're playing a little fast, that those points are a little bit of fool's goals, that they're winning some points driving the ball, but that long-term they can't win with that strategy?
You know what, Mark? You watch this paddle match. We watch so many paddle matches. And when you look at this, if you were outside and you didn't hear the score being announced or anything, you would think it's pretty close. But the issue is, Berendt and Enica, they're just getting a cushion here in each of the games. And I think when you've lost the first set, you just have to start and build 1 point at a time. Don't even worry about the whole game. Just grind and have a willingness to play long points.
So there was an example of the court was open, but the shot wasn't there.
She didn't recognize, she didn't make the adjustment from the shot that she was committed to hitting And then all of a sudden, Enica and Berendt bailed, and Wendy, didn't put the ball over the net in the court. I've done it many times myself. That's how I know it so well.
There's another missed backhand from Prop. Usually she won't miss more than one of those or two an entire set.
And Mark, I just think that's because there's just a little tentativeness there as to where the offense is going to come from up the middle with Shpiz and Prop.
Game, Berendt, Enica.
Another 540 game
Score
gets away
is
from
one,
him.
Berendt, Enica to love Prop Shpiz.
I think that's the fine line in sports and platform tennis, Mark. Who gets the offense, how it's effective against the team you're playing. It's about your matchup.
Patty, let's talk a little bit about the APTA National Team Championships in Chicago this year. It's been a tremendous event the last couple of years, and you see on your screen a link to it.
Over 600 players, Mark, in the last 2 years have played in the event that is the brainchild of Pete Rose.
Pete Rose, APTA Vice President.
And a ton of support was from APTA President Scott Bondurant, John Noble.
So it's 6 teams, 6 players on a team. You don't have to win your league. We encourage you to take a look at platformtennis.org. Reach out to Pete if you have any questions. We want you in Chicago in April.
You get a group of your friends and go travel, and this is the model that we're taking from USTA does this, and it's so fun, and there's so much camaraderie in this sport, and really the APTA is so supportive of all these events that's helping to provide platforms for competition for different levels of play. It's not all about the top players in this game, Mark. And last year we introduced the B National Championships. Both were held in New Jersey, the men's and women's. January 1st we went live with B National Rankings, Mark. I didn't see you in there. I know you're way too good for that. No,
but the point is, C Nationals, Patty.
No, the point is that there's places where you can compete in this game at the highest level as you're working your way into the sport. Kids, men's, women's, mixed. So many sanctioned events all around the country.
And Steve DeRose, who's one of the top players in the country, got his first title at the B Nationals. So if you think you're better than Steve DeRose, then don't play in the Bs. If you're not as good as Steve DeRose, then I suggest you consider the B Nationals.
How good did Steve get from that moment that he got his first national championship title?
Well, he started playing with John Lubau, so he learned a lot. Roxy's 1 for 2 in the slashes game.
I thought it was when he played with Bobo and they won their mixed. I remember watching that event. It was held in Morristown, and I watched Steve play 6 matches. I was not competing, and I never saw him miss a shot. He played 5 or 6 matches and never missed a return to serve, never missed. I mean, I was just floored by his ability level.
Remarkable talent. Steve is out this year with a bad hip, and we miss him. A man of many talents.
One of the most enjoyable players on the men's side of the game to watch because he's got such a positive attitude. He's always smiling out there, and you just never know what shot's coming out of Steve next.
Neither does Steve. Enica catches the lead cord there. Patty,
30-40.
talk a little bit about when you should be coming to net following a through ball, because later in the tournament we're probably going to see Hannes van Starenburg, who've been playing that unique one-up, one-back strategy.
So the question you're asking me is when you're the team who has retreated back?
The question I'm asking you is when you're in the backcourt and you hit a lob through or a drive through, when do you follow it to the net and who follows it in?
Well, I think the rule is a little different. I think in the top level in the men's and women's game, you'll see players who don't even want to take the net. They prefer to be playing the game and dictate from the baseline. I think in most 90% of the game played club level players, you would come up to the net and take over the net because being at the net is a huge advantage for most levels of play.
Because there we saw a lob go through and Heather Prop got caught in between whether to come through or not and ended up having the ball lobbed back at her and she got stuck in the backcourt. Now Hannes van Starenburg intentionally played one up, one back with Hannes hitting all the overheads and Van Starenburg driving the ball from the backcourt. And a lot of the women have struggled adopting to that style.
Well, it's recognizing what they're doing and having a willingness to hit, off-speed balls up the lines to get Van Starenburg and Hannes on the chase. And when players figure it out, then I think it might behoove them to go to a little bit more of a traditional setup. But it certainly works against a lot of the teams they play against.
And to your comment earlier about Berendt and Enica are going to start letting loose, you can see the Enica serve. She's really letting loose with her serve now and swinging at it much more as she's gotten comfortable.
Yeah, her swing speed on her serve has more than doubled.
Brilliant slash.
30-15.
You think she's better than Araya at that shot right now, Patty?
I think so. Haywan started taking that shot years ago. No, you know, it was the only way like, at top level in the sport could end a point. And now you see so many guys, and you know, some of the women are now they've worked out the shot. It takes a lot of courage to hit the ball. You got to have perfect timing. You got to have that firmness, point of contact. You've got to feel the ball.
30-all.
It's not as easy as it looks. Like they make it look so easy, but when you go out there, it's hard to execute.
APTA Tour Director Shannon Vincent getting us some scores out there. Shannon drove over from Chicago this morning, got up at 5 to be here. Darda Shea up 6-1, 1-love, second set over McGlockey and Murphy. Game point here for Prop and Shpiz. They really need to win this game. Hannes van Starnberg won the first set 6-3.
Set score is Berendt
and Mark, another missed volley off an off-speed ball.
1.
And then Gio and Molenvold up 6-5, first set over Bodman Hayward. Thank you very much, Shannon. Go ahead, Patty. I'm sorry about that.
I just said it was another volley error Enica and Berendt had on sort of an off-speed ball from Wendy. And I think that's one of the keys when you play paddle, to recognize when the team's playing a little bit off the net, and you don't have to hit the ball at their feet every time with a ton of pace. You're going to get away with some of those off-speed shots when you have that team off the net.
And they put so much pressure on the opposition with their overheads, Berendt and Enica do. Still have yet to hold serve in the match.
Love.
There's an example of how many ways there are to win points in platform tennis, Patty. Wendy Shpiz puts in a serve that was traveling, what do you think, 6 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour? And Berendt missed it.
Hey, and all Wendy's doing is starting the point. She can't afford a loose error on a serve, so she's just putting the ball in play and let them take a rip. They're fine with that. Staying back is the only way.
Yeah, they'll make some mistakes. Give them a chance to make some errors.
This is what they have to do to get in the match. That's why I think, you know, Wendy's screenplay is one of the keys here, because she tends to block a lot of the balls that get hit to her in that ad court on the overheads.
30-15.
And I always think if you can use the screens a little bit more, you can slow down and dictate play.
Got to find a way to do some damage from the backcourt. And for me, it all comes down to lobbing well. A couple of hard overheads from Berendt takes us back to 30-all. And that's a factor of not lobbing well. When you hit that good lob, she can't hit that hard overhead.
And Heather talked to me about the possibility of Wendy going all the way over to cover that ball up the side screen.
It's too far for her to travel.
I think it's too far. There you have it again.
40-30.
I mean, Berendt wants to hit the ball. She wants to hit a fast-moving ball. So this is fascinating to see. Low-pace serve just takes away her firepower.
Another short lob gets him in trouble.
Well, Roxy has the sunglasses now. She does wear a hat, and I think that's the key on that side.
But isn't it interesting, Patty, with all the new age paddle, the hard overheads, the cut, the spin everybody puts on it, lob better. Is always the answer. Lob better.
Mark, I built my entire game. I remember the first couple times I ever played. You know, the couple of people who told me some things right from the beginning said, be a great lobber. Then the whole game comes to you. And given that I couldn't really hit the ball that hard, Mark,
That's not true, Patty Hogan.
my offense came from, and I played with so many players who bought into the same theory that, you know, you make a consistent amount of your drives at a consistent pace, medium pace, and then bring the pace every once in a while when you really have the right shot. But the lob in the women's game is, and of course in the men's game, but I think even more so in the women's game, so critical.
I think that's one of the most important transitions that tennis players have to make when they start lobbing, not because they can't drive, but because they understand that's how you're going to set up the drive.
We got a shout out, we'll give a little shout out to Carrie Delmonico, who's watching from Summit, New Jersey, and enjoying the action. And Mark, I don't know if you know, but Carrie's never short for giving advice. So she has some advice that she'd like us to tell Prop and Spritz right now, which she thinks that they have to drive some of these balls off the screens, that maybe they're a little too defensive and predictable here. Heather must have heard because she drove that ball, Mark. That was a great pickup from our host pro, Heather Prop.
Well, there's she's doing some damage on the hard overhead, which is what we've talked about.
And I think that it's a great strategy in that Enica and Berendt don't close into the net. They don't really form that wall and cover the 2/3 on the side of the court where the ball is. They play a little bit spread out more.
So it's
great lob right there, right into the sun.
Score's still 1-2. Trying to get their first hold. A great scramble from Enica. What a lob.
Great lob.
We see some of the athleticism on display there.
I was curious how Spritz would hold up over there in that ad court, Mark, and I think she's doing a great job. I feel like she's getting much more comfortable here in this second set.
Too many short lobs, though. Again, Berendt hurts them with the hard overhead off the short lob. And that's the pressure they put on you. You just have to lob well.
So are we back to deuce, Mark?
We're back to deuce.
Advantage, Berendt, Enica.
Just too eager right there. She didn't realize, you know, and Enica and Berendt were kind of hanging back there.
There's some good lobbing from Prop. That's what you were talking about, Patty. That ball was not hit with any pace at all. In fact, I was reading the Viking label on it as it passed the net.
Our official ball sponsor.
But caught the net cord and won the point. Good lobs there, driving them behind the service line.
And so for all the club level players, Mark, who are watching, and hopefully who are going to compete in our year-end national championships in April in Chicago, I feel like I fight the fight with so many players, convincing them to stay back, to take away offensive weapons. And you can see, you know, here's our number 8 seeds disarming, you know, Enica and Berendt because they're staying back and taking away some of their weapons.
You see some misses coming off the Enica paddle. It's the beauty of the game, Patty, the ability to control tempo. You have those wires behind you. If you play tennis against someone who serves harder than you and hits ground strokes harder than you, there are not a lot of options. But in paddle, you can stay back, play the ball off the wires, and control tempo. And all you have to do to be able to do that is play the wires and lob well.
I think that I think Heather's doing a decent job with her lobs. I think Wendy needs a lot more height actually. I was going to say a little more height on her lobs. I think she needs more height.
And better width as well.
Width is important. In the court is really good.
Yeah, those are the types of mistakes you just can't make against this team. 'Cause 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 'cause
Mark, a lot of times you'll see players on the baseline move around and make lots of grip changes, where you see Wendy spritz out of that ad court. She tends to drive and lob with the same grip, sort of a little bit toward a semi-Western grip. Her hand's a little bit to the right on her handle. And I don't think that's the ideal grip to lob with more height. Wow.
Game, Berendt, Enica. They lead 3-1.
Jerry V out here, Patty, she might say the water's going down the drain quickly.
You know, Wendy had the ball of life. She wanted that shot. But when you're down in the second set, you've just got to go a little higher percentage shot there.
Catches the nick, and
15
Shpiz is
left.
not there. Patty, talk a little bit about that. Where should Shpiz have been if she thought that ball was going to catch the nick?
Well, you've always got to have a trailer on the play, and the trailer's the person who is not the obvious choice who's getting the shot, but you kind of move over. When you see your partner go toward the corner, you head to the middle in case that ball flies out. And I think players who play with each other a lot do that better than players who don't play with each other as much. And host pro Heather had chalked her court. That was her very lesson with one of her teams this week, Mark.
Maybe she should have left the chalk out there for Wendy Shpiz.
15-0.
We poured water on the arrows this morning. We didn't want it to be too distracting here.
Try and get you some additional scores out there. Fault from Berendt.
15-30. $15.40.
Great blitz there from
Game
Shpiz.
prop Shpiz.
And they're
Set
back
score
on break.
is Berendt, Enica 3, prop Shpiz 2.
I like the pressure, and I think that's a key for Wendy and Heather. They've got to continue to work together, Mark.
The Viking Extra-Duty platform ball has been the #1 selling ball in the industry for the last 20 years. It's the official ball of the APTA, of the APT Nationals and President's Cup, and of course of the Grand Prix Tour. So do you see things changing, Patty, or is this just
what I
more
was
the same?
saying was just they got the combination of shots, and I think great teams work off each other, and you know, they're not two people playing singles from the baseline. Their shots are complementary shots to each other, and that's what we need to see out of Wendy and Heather. I mean, these players are so good that it's just hard to hit an outright shot at anyone and expect to win the point. It's really a sequence of shots where you create the movement in the openings.
Great cross there from Berendt. And let's talk about Laura Berendt's game a little bit. She's been an alpha for a number of years, and now she's adjusting her game and is the support player to Roxy Enica.
You know,
15-0.
I think I love the willingness of Berendt to be a role player in a way, and I think as I've watched her come in and out of the game, there's sort of, you know, she hasn't been the most consistent of players. I'll see her play, and I look at her, think she's the best player in the game. Then other times, it's like, oh my lord, the number of unforced errors. And I think she's definitely toned it down. And I mean, it's the same. It's the maturation in the sport where you see the evolution of players and their skills, and it's a mental toughness that, you know, and a willingness to kind of grind out and play longer points. Because I just think Roxy and Lauren would love every point to be over in 3 shots, but it's not the sport.
A chance to get a hold at 30-15. It looks like Hannes van Starnberg, the #1 seed, are through. This is an overhead. This will be a huge game for them to hold. They're first to the match. Tie the score at 3. There's some anger behind that shot. Enica just she's got so much guts. Doesn't care if she misses it. She's going to try it. She's made a bunch today. Another point for a hold. Live by the sword, die by the sword. She caught the lead cord and then lost it on the seam.
You know, to play right there, Mark. Roxy's backing up. Roxy was beyond the service line. I would love to see either Wendy or Heather even like sneak in. Maybe try a blitz, do something else just to sort of take away the rhythm that Enica is enjoying here on, you know, those big swinging forehands that she's getting a lot of.
That last shot that Shpiz tried, that's a great shot if you've got strings. Very hard shot to hit in our game. There she was smarter. She put that ball up in the air. Short, low ball. Great ball from Prob. Yeah, Enica doesn't look right to me.
Yeah, she didn't feel great at lunch. She said she was a little woozy this morning in her round of 16s match. But she looked good to start the second set. I thought she was looking much looser to me.
Advantage prop.
This is the forehand wide. Another point to hold. Great volley from Enica. And there you see Shpiz get herself in trouble again with the short lob.
Yeah, she just can't get herself out of trouble. When she's on the run, that's where, you know, you've got to have the ability to set that paddle early and under the ball so that you can get some height so you have time to be in position for the next shot. And
they're propping the trailer position for
Advantage,
else to
Berendt and
execute.
Enica.
And with that hard overhead from Berendt and Enica, you have to be prepared for the nick coming out like that.
see, that's great height and really good depth from Heather's lob. But Lauren's height just kind of negated a positive result of it.
Great get there off the nick from Shpiz.
Advantage, Berendt and Enica.
There's too many misses from Shpiz right now. It's a ball she's just got to put in play.
You know, it's amazing how it turns. I thought Wendy was really stepping up early in that second set. I thought that her game was starting to elevate a little bit. Then all of a sudden, you know, it just goes fast the other way though. But that's the challenge of paddle. How many momentum changes do each individual player do they experience when they play? There's so many.
Another missed lob.
Game, Berendt and Enica. They lead 4-2.
Another game they had their teeth into at 40-15 and failed to close out.
And they always say, you know, don't lob wide. You know, you've got to put the ball more toward the middle if you're in any bit of trouble. But, you know, we're not standing out there getting overheads pummeled at us
Love 15.
for, you know, for the duration of this match. So it's tough. It's natural to go for a little bit more to see if you can't find a spot that's a little bit weaker.
15
But
off.
the only, you know, if you're going to lob Laura Berendt, you got to go to her backhand, and you got to find Roxy's backhand. But it's really hard because these guys shift. They have tremendous footwork to create all their swinging forehand overheads and volleys.
Enica. Their Shpiz does a good job as a trailer, but it doesn't come out far enough. Berendt and Enica dealing with some faults right now. A chance to really jump on them if they can hold here at 4-2. 2 missed forehands in a row from Shpiz. That shot is usually so reliable.
Just looks like plan A is to lob, and they don't have Spritz and Prop are just not showing like any bit of like a half swing, short back swing, short follow through, a little kind of chip shots, Mark. That really, I think, would be what you would need out here.
Too many mistakes.
Game, Berendt, Enica.
Patty, I don't know if you know this, but Uline is the leading distributor of shipping, industrial, and packaging materials to businesses throughout North America. They ship over 2.5 million boxes every day, but they are so much more than a box company. More than 32,000 quality products are always in stock and ready to ship. Outstanding customer service means they're here when you need them, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Uline, the best selection, products, and people for an unforgettable customer experience. Okay, Patty, I think this match is kind of coming to the end. We're going to take a look and see if we can switch courts depending on what's going on in the Molenveld match.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pretty competitive match going on right next to us. The other quarters seem to be done, Mark. And we'll give you some updates shortly. Tardis and Shea are through on the top half of the draw, and they'll play the winner of this match, which right now is looking like it's going to be Berendt and Enica, unless something startling happens from Wendy and Heather. See how Wendy snuck up a little bit inside the baseline, Mark? I think that's what she's got to do out of that ad court.
30 love.
It's a good thing that missed, because I thought there was going to be some pain on the side of this court.
Who said paddle's not a physical sport, Mark?
Okay, 30 love.
But right there you see Wendy and Heather were fighting for that middle ball, each positioning themselves for their best shot. Unfortunately, they like the same spot.
30-15.
See, that's the ball that Shpiz has got to put back in play. Just can't afford to give away points in our game, especially when you're a little bit outmatched in terms of firepower.
Mark, I think it's a recognition of when you're on defense in a point. Wendy was backing up. She was in a defensive position. That means throw up a lob by time. Wow, look at that spin, Mark.
Another great shot from Enica. We'll take a look at that one again after this game.
That hurt my back from here going for that.
I was staying here, Patty. I wasn't going to go for that.
You didn't flinch.
I had you going for it. Why did I need to move? 2 points from the match.
$40-30.
Yeah, Prop throws up a good lob and it wins them on the point. Another opportunity to hold.
I love the movement here.
She misses her, and they have a hold.
Game,
and here's that spectacular slash from Roxy Enica. Look how she just opens her paddle up, barely touches it. Swing and a miss for Heather Prop. Okay, see if we can have a match now. Laura Berendt serving 5-3. She'll be serving for the match in a spot in the semifinals.
Love 15.
And that's where Enica looks a little bit off to me. It's a volley you'd expect her to make 100 times out of 100. There's great coverage from Shpiz. Big crowd on the hut rooting for Heather Prop. Love 30. Surprised by the change of direction there.
Yeah. But Heather's got the hometown fan. We've got the paddle hut behind us in this beautifully renovated hut here at Hyde Park Golf and Country Club. They did a great job, and a lot of Heather's fans here cheering her on.
Great play there from Berendt. Once again, they're 2 points from the match. Looks like Dardis Shea are done. I assume they're through for the to the semifinals.
I believe they won the match.
And they'll play the winner of this match. And it looks like Molenfeld and Gio are done also. We'll try and get you a score there.
How do you know they won that, Mark? You're able to watch 3 courts at one time.
Only 2. Great get from Prop there off the nick. Here it comes. Oh, that one was explosive. I don't think there's any question she's better than Araya at that shot, Patty.
I'm just glad we're sitting in here and we're not chasing down those spins.
Match point. And there it is. Game set, match. Berendt Enica, 6-2, 6-3. Patty, any closing thoughts on the match?
I just think Enica and Laura Berendt just took advantage of way too many short lobs from Wendy and Heather, and that just fed into what their strengths are, which are those power overheads. And they're a super solid team, as we predicted that if the match didn't go very long, it was just about at the hour mark that Berendt and Enica would probably take it, so they advance to the semifinals, Mark.
How do you see it matching up? They're playing against Dardis and Shea, who they beat in the finals of Charities. And then on the other side, we have Gio and Molenfeld against Hannes van Starnberg. So take me through those 2 matchups and what your thoughts are.
Okay, well, I think any match that Enica and Berendt play, you know, because of their explosive nature of it, you have to have phenomenal footwork, great screens, great lobbing ability, and you've got to have offense. Just so happens to be what Dardis and Shea are very good at, and we know they're a long-time phenomenal team and top 2 or 3 in the country for 15 years. This year they've struggled a little bit with their results, and I just think they struggle with that power. So that's going to be a tough matchup for Dardis and Shea. On the other side, Gio and Molenfeld, great. You know, that's a nice win over Bodman Hayward. I think
they beat Hannes van Starnberg the first time they played him this year, and then got pounded the last 2. And by pounded, I mean pounded.
No. Right. We saw a rough defeat at Westchester. So I think that Gio and Molenfeld, we hope that they've took a lot of lessons away from that, crushing defeat, and I think we'll have a really competitive match here this afternoon.
Okay, we'll be back at 3:30 with the women's semis right here on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live.